Good day, students. Welcome back to the continuation of the lecture series on Introduction to Internal Combustion Engine. So, in the previous lecture, we discussed about the internal combustion engine, particularly the working of the spark ignition engine. So, in continuation, we will discuss the next type of engine, which is the compression ignition engine. So, compression ignition engine, it works based on the principle of compression. So, when air fuel mixture is compressed, combustion takes place. So we discussed in the spark ignition engine, petrol is used as the fuel, which is ignited by the spark plug. In the compression ignition engine, diesel is used as the fuel. So if you see this image, there are two valves here similarly. One is intake valve and another one is exhaust valve. Both valves are controlled with the help of a camshaft. So from the beginning, if you see, air fuel is air is pushed through these valves. 1 minute. So as you can see, when air comes inside, it is compressed. So once it is compressed, what happens is that the fuel will be fed here. Fuel will be fed through the fuel injector. So the main part to note here is the fuel injector. In the spark ignition engine, you had a spark plug, but here you are having a fuel injector which will inject the fuel. It is similar to your syringe. When you push liquid through the syringe, what happens is that the liquid will come out in the form of droplets. Similarly, here the fuel will come through a nozzle. So the purpose of nozzle is to spread the diesel into tiny droplets. So what happens is that when it hits the compressed air, which will be in a high temperature, because when you compress air, as you see here, closely watch this pressure temperature, what happens is that when it is compressed, pressure and temperature is increased. So as you can see, there will be high temperature air inside the combustion chamber, and once the fuel droplets are released into this high temperature air, what happens is that they start to burn rapidly. So combustion takes place. So the purpose of fuel injector here is to inject the diesel inside the combustion chamber. So once it is injected, what happens? It burns. The air fuel mixture will burn and combustion takes place. The major difference between the spark ignition and compression ignition engine is that here fuel is injected through the spark plug. Whereas if you take the, fuel is injected through the fuel injector. If you take the spark ignition engine, I would have mentioned that air fuel mixture will come through the inlet valve. Here air and fuel is mixed externally in a part called as carburetor. So we'll discuss about the working of a carburetor and everything in a upcoming lectures. Just note that in a petrol engine, air and fuel will be mixed outside the combustion chamber in a part called as carburetor. Whereas if you take the diesel engine, air and fuel will be mixed inside the combustion chamber only with the help of a fuel injector. So that's a major difference between the spark ignition and a compression ignition engine. So what happens when it burns? Pressure builds up, temperature builds up, and the piston is pushed down. As you see clearly here, when the piston is pushed down, the part starts to rotate. That part is called as the crankshaft. So the purpose of crankshaft is to rotate. So that rotation is possible because of a connecting rod. So what the connecting rod does is that it transfers the movement of the piston to the crankshaft. So this causes the crankshaft to rotate. So this rotation is in turn transmitted to a shaft called as transmission shaft. That transmission shaft will transmit the power to the wheels. That's the working of an automobile engine. So based on the type of ignition, you can classify into spark ignition and compression ignition engine. In a compression ignition engine, fuel injector is used to inject the air fuel mixture into the combustion chamber, which causes it to burn. So which among these two engines are efficient? There are different criteria for selecting each type of engine. If you need instant power. And if you need fuel efficiency, silent operation. If you need silent operation, you can go for a petrol engine. But if you need high power, high load bearing capacity, versatile operation, you can go for the compression ignition engine. So that's why in your two-wheelers and your small cars, you are using petrol engine. Whereas if you go for trucks, lorries, or even bigger ships, you will be using a diesel engine. So the reason for going for diesel engine is that it will deliver high power and it will be able to handle higher torques. But petrol engine is more service friendly. It has low maintenance and also it is silent operator. Hence you can go for two-wheelers and automobiles are working through this spark ignition engine. So that is regarding the classification of engine based on the type of ignition. The next lecture we will discuss about the classification based on the type of stroke which takes place. So thank you, students. We will see in the next lecture video.